Hello, everyone. This is Ferrante Frazier with another episode of Natural as F. We hope that you had a great week last weekend. We're glad that you joined us this week for an exciting show about holistic health and healing. Now, our show is not medicine, it's not herbs or remedies. Our show is education, educating you on the right way to live that your body may not suffer disease. Or if you are suffering from some disease, your body can recover from it or restore itself back to, vigorous health or optimum health. I want to thank the ATR Media platform for allowing us to have this show up here, where they give us a chance to come and educate our listeners. And we thank you for coming up here every week, coming and looking and listening, and also sharing it with your friends and family. But it gave us a chance. We were telling them that we teach holistic health and healing on the Savannah Natural Health. And we were so excited that they allowed us to be a part of their group and helping talk about holistic health to our community. There's a lot of people in our community suffering with diseases. They suffering with health issues. They don't even know how to get healthy. They're doing everything that the medicine people tell them to do. They listening to all these different herb doctors who telling them that in the ancient times, the ancients used this type of remedy, they used this type of remedy, they used that type of remedy. And we're going back to the very things that we stopped doing. If those things were beneficial with our ancestors, why didn't we keep on using them? Why do we have to go dig them up in some literature or something like that? Because they was buried. No one kept doing that because it proved to be disastrous. A lot of times these remedies, we don't pay attention to how they were stopped in the past. They were stopped because they damaged a lot of people. A lot of people got sick. A lot of people were, died behind those remedies and those different cures that we're digging back up and telling the people we should use those things. All these different poisons out of nature, we go out and find and brew it and make tonics and make salves out of it, press into pills. We turn them into different types of remedies and cures and treatments. And we take these things and hope to get well. All the while, what causing us to get sick is our bad habits. The way we eat, the way we drink, the way we live, what we breathe, everything around our environment and our personal daily habits is what's producing our symptoms of suffering. Our body is suffering from the torture, from the pain, from all the excessive toxins that we've been indulging in on a regular basis. So our body is trying to eliminate, trying to recover, and all this type of stuff. But we go to the remedies, we go to the herbs, and we expect that those remedies and herbs are going to heal our body from our bad habits, from what we're eating, from what we're drinking, what we're breathing, our excesses of living, our overusage of energy, our accumulation of toxins. We expect drugs and remedies. If we can just go out in nature and find the right poison that God has hidden in nature somewhere. We say that God put remedies out there for us, but he hid it. He put it inside rocks. He put it in the dung of a snake. He put it in the sores of a cow. He hid all the remedies and cures in some nauseous haphazard places. If we think about it, if we want to say God put these so-called remedies and cures out there for us, there can't be cures and remedies for us. Think about it just for a second. But that's not what our show is on tonight. What we're going to be talking about in just a little bit, we're going to be talking about those 3 filters in your body. You want to feel better? You want your pressure to stabilize? You want your sugar levels to stabilize? You want your body to repair? You want bones to stop becoming porous and brittle and easily breaking and aching, your muscles aching, your nerves jittery? If you want your whole body to regenerate itself and repair itself and look beautiful and luscious, then we have to have these filters working properly. These 3 filters that we're going to talk about. If those 3 filters are not working properly, then your whole body suffers. I'm going to explain why in just a little bit. But before we go into that, like I said, I want to thank everybody who come up here every week and follow us and watch our show. And like I said, even with sharing, if you could share with as many people as you possibly can. I imagine you hitting that button right now, just pushing share. You know, if you're listening to it and you're gaining something from this every week, why not share with someone else? Someone else might be suffering and need to hear what we're talking about this week. We're talking about cleaning your blood, how to, get those filters back working properly. We get those filters working back properly, you restore health. So why not help some individuals who's suffering? You got some friends and family out there right now who's, complaining about their health issues, who's battling with this disease and battling with that disease, having to have surgery, don't know what the next minute is going to bring. Some people are laying on their deathbed, don't know what to do, crying and all type of stuff. And the healing is so easy in certain instances. You actually got people on their deathbed who's going to die that all they had to do was hear this message that we bring on this show and start following it. And it can very well save their life. When they go down the medical route, start taking their poisons, start getting cut on and letting them take organs and tissues out of their body, setting themselves up for a world of trouble. It's hard to recover a kidney that you done took out. It's harder for your body to regenerate a gallbladder you done let them remove. All these different organs and tissues we've allowed them to take out. We let them take out our tonsils and adenoids and all type of other glands. But we don't do anything to correct why the glands have swollen, why they hardening, why they're causing us issues. All we do is just take the gland out. This is medical science at its best. And this is where most of the world follow. They follow this type of mentality. And that's why most of the world now is suffering and dying from these health issues. Can't be no cure in sight. You're looking for a cure, you're never going to find it because the disease is the cure. Your cough is the cure. You're looking for the cure for diarrhea. You're looking for the cure for diarrhea. You sit there and eat at a buffet every day, or you sit there and eat a whole bunch of food, and the food is haphazardly combined. You got chicken, meat, you got pork, you got beef, you got fish, you got French fries, you got rice, you got potatoes, you got noodles, you got 8 different types of vegetables, you got ice cream, you got cake, you got bread, you got all these different foods that you're throwing in your stomach at one time. Sometimes we're putting 10 different types of food in our stomach with one bite. I watch people, pick up 5 different things on one fork and have a piece of bread on one side, and they go to eat it and all we have to do is look at the mukbangs right now. You can watch some crazy eating. I hate to see what happens to those people when their disease catch up with them. They're taking their bodies to the limit, stretching the stomach out crazy. All that food, there's no way that food can digest. Your body don't even produce that amount of secretion in that little bit of time to digest those huge amounts of food. Let's say, for example, in your stomach, your pancreas only secretes a certain amount of amylase, which is the starch splitting enzyme that breaks down starches and carbs. So it breaks down bread. But it only releases and able to produce enough of amylase to digest and fully break down one slice of bread per hour. That's that's all that the pancreas can accomplish. But if we're eating 2 slices of bread, that means one bread is never going to get digested. Some of us eat 2, 3 sandwiches. So we eat 4 to 6 pieces of bread. So out of those 4 to 6 pieces, only one bread is getting digested. That leaves 3 to 5 breads that are going to be sitting in our stomach, rotting, decomposing. Because when food don't digest, and it can't digest if there's no enzyme to break it down. So that food just going to sit there in our stomach, causing you gas and bloating, having you with that rumbling in your stomach, have you with that pain. When it starts breaking down too much and becoming toxic internally, the body tends to go and try to wash that stuff out. They try to wash it out in the form of a diarrhea. When stuff is putrefying and rotting inside of you, the body tends to try to preserve itself by flushing out its pipes. That flushing out is a diarrhea, forcefully pushing all that waste material out. If that stuff stays inside of you, it'll keep on favoring parasites and irritating and destroying tissues in the digestive tract. So it's a preservative. It's a means of protecting the body, that diarrhea. The diarrhea to some seem like a bad thing. But in actuality, the diarrhea is your cure. Had the diarrhea not happened, then the toxins remain in your digestive tract and burn a hole in your digestive tract. Now, the diarrhea sounds like a good thing now. And it is. It's not normal. And it's not good to have, but under those conditions, under these toxic conditions that I have allowed myself to get into with my way of eating, my way of drinking, my way of being. My food is not digesting, and instead it's rotting inside of me. So under those conditions, my body does the next best thing. Instead of letting that food rot and poison us to death, it builds up energy and forcefully sends fluid out there to push everything out. It's a great thing. our body is always working to, protect itself. All you have to do is work along with your body. I want to read a couple of things from our hygienic book, the Health Seekers book, to get your minds in a holistic way of thinking. We're going to listen to some of the holistic doctors of our time, or our time prior to us. Some of the ones who were the forerunners for natural hygiene. And before we go into natural hygiene, before we even go into that, before we pull that one up, I want to share something else with you first. This is from Dr. Shelton. Let me give you a few definitions. Since we're on this concept of holistic health and healing, a lot of people don't know what holistic health really is. And what we're hearing of holistic health is not really holistic health. It's just another form of drugging when we listen to these modern day holistic doctors out here. They're not really teaching hygiene. They're teaching remedies and cures. They're still not teaching the people how to live properly. A doctor is a teacher. Well, what are you teaching? If you're a doctor of medicine, you're teaching people how to medicate themselves. If you're a doctor of naturopathy, you're teaching people how to drug themselves with using natural remedies and herbs and stuff like that. So they're not doing anything wrong from what they've been teaching people, but what they're teaching is wrong education to mankind, because it's not proper hygiene. Hygiene, according to Dr. Shelton, is that branch of biology that relates to the preservation and restoration of health. We recognize two kinds of hygiene, namely natural hygiene and artificial or spurious hygiene. Now, natural hygiene is the instinctive and intelligent employment of the forces and agents of nature, preserving and restoring health. It comprehends those eternal and ever-present needs of life: health, growth, development, and activity. Light, air, water, food, rest, sleep, exercise, cleanliness, cheer, hope, courage, poise, and freedom from devitalizing habits, and is divided for convenience into the following categories. One being preservative hygiene, or the hygiene of healthful maintenance, by which is meant the instinctive and intelligent employment of hygienic principles, forces, and agents for the preservation of functional and structural integrity, and the promotion of growth and development. Now, the second one was remedial hygiene, and I'm going to go over these in just a minute. But remedial hygiene, or the hygiene of health restoration, is the instinctive and intelligent employment of hygienic principles, forces, and agents for the restoration of sound health. It studies life and health. All of this together we include under the term orthobionomics. Bionomy is the science of the laws of living structure. Bionomy is the science of the laws of living function, or that branch of biology which treats of habits and adaptation. Orthobionomics is a word which have been coined by Dr. Shelton as the correct adaptation of environment to life. So bionomy is the adaptation or the habits. And Ortho means upright. So when you put ortho and bionomics together, you get upright adaptation. So it's the correct adaptation. It's the right way to get air. It's the right way to drink water. It's the right way to eat. It's the correct way. Artificial or spurious hygiene is the use of artificial and unnatural principles, forces, and agents in an effort to prevent and cure disease. It studies disease and death. It employs, and you notice that it studies disease and death. We study life. What does it take for an individual to become alive? We don't study death. It employs, as the proper means of preventing and curing disease, poisonous chemicals of mineral, animal, and vegetable origin, septic serum poisonings, putrid serums, fly swatters, sterilizing processes, antiseptics, surgical processes, and fear and apprehension and panic and so on. But as the proper elements of hygiene, and is divided into two: prophylaxis, which means the prevention of disease, and therapeutics, which is the application of remedies in the treatment of disease. These two, prophylaxis and therapeutics, are designated modern medical science. A medicine is a remedial agent. Now, when we back up here, we see that hygiene, which we teaching you, and we've been teaching since we started this show. That's why we call it natural as elf. But this natural as elf is natural hygiene. There can't get no natural than natural hygiene. How can you get more natural than just being as humans were designed to be immaculate? You put in the human in the ideal environment. You putting them up under the ideal condition. It can't get no more natural than that. Instead of giving them something, you give them fresh air. Instead of giving them something to rub on them, you give them clean food, fresh fruits and vegetables, the food that was designed for human growth and development. Instead of giving them vitamin D pills, you put them out into the sun and let them get vitamin D naturally. Instead of scraping their eyes and putting eyeglasses on, here again, out into the sun. Instead of trying to do surgery to work on their fatty liver, get them into the sun. Hygiene is that branch of biology that relates to the preservation and restoration of health. The preservation and restoration. So not only do it prevent, all right, it also restores. So if you're a healthy person, and you can remain so by continuously to follow proper hygienic concepts, to keep natural hygiene in your life by eating fresh fruits and vegetables, drinking clean water, staying away from toxic people, keeping the will to live, cleanliness, getting adequate sunlight, fresh air, maintaining normal temperature, getting rest and relaxation, and, regular exercise, cheerfulness, all the things that we were talking about, the conditions for health. Those things are necessary if you want to remain healthy. If you go to eating bad and drinking bad and living bad, not getting sleep and having toxic people around you and not having control of your passion, not getting exercise, not breathing fresh air, you're going to wear your body down and your body is going to become sick and diseased. So to prevent sickness is to remain living in such a way where you don't produce sickness. If you do become sick, the way to back out of that sickness is to reintroduce the natural hygienic principles of fresh air, clean water, ideal sunlight, ideal food, pure air, rest and relaxation. The stuff that we're talking about over and over in here. You just employ that back to your life and you get well. It can't get no natural than that. You don't have to be taking no pills, no potions, don't have to have no surgery. Who wouldn't want to know this way of living? Who wouldn't want to know the concepts? This is like you found gold. You found a way to heal your body from all manner of sickness when you study natural hygiene and practice it. Now, you can't just know it. Knowing is just half the battle. The other half is application. You apply once you come into the knowledge of it. Now you know that clean water is superior to all other drinks, and all other drinks is poisonous. If it ain't water, it's a poison. If there's anything in your water, that's no longer clean water. That's poison. And the body must do something about that poisonous water. Natural hygiene is the instinctive, intelligent employment of the forces and agents. So you have to have a natural instinct to drink water, to get fresh air, to move, to get rest, and all these natural concepts and forces and agents of nature, and restore health back to us or prevent ourselves from ever getting sick. We talked about it. Light, air, water, food, rest, sleep, exercise, cleanliness, cheer, hope, courage, poise, and freedom of devitalizing habits. Artificial hygiene. We're talking about that again. That's when you're trying to cover up, use remedies and cures and all type of stuff. That's not true hygiene. Artificial hygiene is when you, instead of you having to, use up all that makeup and stuff like that, you naturally radiate with beauty because you're eating right, you're exercising and stuff like that. If you have to weigh push-up bras and have to weigh stuff around your stomach to keep your stomach tucked in, have to put stuff around your thighs to keep your thighs looking slim and stuff because you got them tight, you around there snuggle like a bug in a rug. Can't even hardly breathe. Circulation is all off because you got all these air, tonics on all through your body. And we're wondering why we still having issues because we're using artificial means to beautify ourselves, to heal ourselves, to restore ourselves back to health, and to prevent ourselves from ever getting sick. We're using artificial remedies and cures and concepts and treatments and principles. But when we go back to the natural principles, we'll see that we don't have to suffer those problems. Now, these are some of the things that I wanted to read. I'm going to go over a couple of them, and then we're going to do a little more discussion about those three filters that we have. Now, in our Health Seekers book, we got something that says, man and women are so constituted and organized and are so related to the external world that if they will obey the laws of their being, they may live free from sickness and the fear of premature death, and may attain to a high degree of physical strength and beauty. But there can be no law without penalty and pain, sickness, sorrow, deformity, decrepitude, and untimely death are the direct and legitimate results of the violation of physical law. Yet too many are so stupid and blind as to sit down meekly and quietly in the superstitious belief that they are means which God employs for their spiritual purification. We have a great desire to arouse the people from the stupidity, to induce them to think and investigate, and to turn from the habits which are undermining their strength, ruining their constitution, and fastening a curse upon the earthly lives of their future offspring. The desire to thus educate the people is the object of our labor. Now, that was Dr. Harriet Austin and Dr. James C. Jackson back in 1860. So I just read a little piece of what they said back in those days. But that is true what he's saying too about and fastening a curse upon the earthly lives of their future offspring. Now imagine if we tear down our structure. We're eating terrible and we're living haphazard lifestyles, and we go to produce another child. That child is subject to the conditions of the parents and how that mother eat, how that mother lived, the conditions and environment around that mother is going to, determine what that child condition is going to be. So our offsprings are definitely is affected by our life in the way we live. So if we want to make sure that we are creating and we know that from breeding dogs and all type of stuff and breeding animals, we know that the condition, the lifestyle of the parents in their environment creates a better animal. Look, people want to eat that meat they got over there. They paying $80 for one piece of steak that cow coming from Japan. It's how that cow is treated. It's better for it. It tastes better. They say it's more delicious and all this type of stuff. The lonely crusaders of natural hygiene are no longer alone. Enthusiastic health seekers are springing up from all directions. There is coming such an explosion of enthusiasm for health freedoms as this old world has never seen before. Natural hygienists are destined to become the chief pioneers in the march of mankind for health liberty. Now that's a great thing to one day see. Even though this was C. Lloyd back in 1979. Health seekers are getting better though. I ain't gonna lie. People are talking about health way more now. We're hearing about the vegan concept. We're hearing people want to exercise more. We got people refusing to, indulge in these medications and stuff like that. People want to, eat more fresh fruits and vegetables. Um, they want to exercise more. They want to get more rest. So a lot of the mentality of the world is waking up to what health truly is. We're no longer being bamboozled to put all our trust in the castrols, the triple sixes, and all these other so-called remedies and potions. We're no longer rushing to the medicine man so much and taking his drugs. Matter of fact, they have to fuss with us. So you ain't taking your medicine? Indeed, exercise may truly be considered the most important natural tonic of the body. If it is wholly neglected, the body will become feeble and all its physiological powers will be diminished. But if exercise is regularly and properly attended to, the whole system will be invigorated and fitted for usefulness and enjoyment. This was Sylvester Graham back in 1839. And a lot of people know Sylvester Graham came up with the Graham bread and was the leader of the Grahamites. But it was a movement for vegetarian veganism way back in the days. You think that vegan and all that is something new? This has been going on with movements way back in the days. But the meat people always fought it. Vegan is bad for you, says the meat man. But here it is. We see exercise, he's saying, is very important. And a lot of us, even when we get into our old age, we give up. As soon as we turn 40 or something, we no longer think that we have to get out and do push-ups, that we need to exercise like we were doing when we were young. When we were young, we'd just get out and just do push-ups. We'd pull up on stuff and run around and exercise. Now, we're no longer doing those things, and we're wondering why our body is becoming feeble, why we no longer have the energy and the muscle strength that we used to have. Is because we're no longer exercising or giving our body exercise that it needs on a daily basis. So just because we're getting up in age don't mean that we need to stop exercising. We need to exercise more, that we can keep up the strength, that we can stay healthful and agile and being able to move in our old age. We don't have to be crying about our muscle ache and our bones hurting and stuff like that, because we have good cardio, we have good stretching ability, we have good muscle tone, so we'll be able to protect ourselves even in old age. Eating hygienically takes up most of one's time and efforts at first, simply because it is the most difficult and foreign aspect of hygiene in the beginning. The total concept of eating so different from the conventional way that it takes a lot of study and practice to change. That was our beloved Dr. Virginia in 1990. She actually just died, I believe, last year of a good old ripe age. But here she's saying that the way you change in eating, when you come into the concept of eating more clean foods, you're not used to that. You were raised on bacon and eggs in the morning. You were raised on a peanut butter and jelly sandwich with some milk and some cookies for lunch. You were raised on a hearty meal of meat slops and cooked the deaf vegetables with some type of carb, and then some dessert to go along with it, and be able to wash it down with a big glass of sugary tea or lemonade or some other drink like soda or something like that. But to change that and go to eating a diet of just sitting there at one meal for breakfast, eating a whole watermelon, and then for dinner, you go into eating a big salad with some, pineapples, cucumbers, lettuce, tomatoes, some oranges, some mangoes, some kiwis chopped up together in there, and that's your meal. Or your meal can just be a whole bunch of kiwis, 8 kiwis, or a pound of grapes. These are different ways of eating. And this different way of eating might not be where you can sit down at a buffet and literally indulge in your addictive eating and satisfy your taste bud. It might not be where you can sit around a bunch of your friends and stuff like that, and while they're sitting there eating crabs and snow crab legs and shrimp and all type of other stuff, and you're sitting there eating 2 or 3 bananas. It's something you got to get used to. It's for you to take care of your body. Forget them. They ain't reached their point yet. But you coming into the knowledge of this, you change your life where you can prevent sickness in your body and protect yourself. The secret to getting old, and the secret to getting rid of old destructive habits lies in loving and respecting yourself so much that you do not succumb to the addictive stimulation that is so powerfully projected to make us puppets on the strings of Madison Avenue manipulation. That's pretty much saying it in a nutshell. But who is strong? He that can conquer bad habits. That's showing your strength. When you can conquer your bad habits, you can have a bad habit, become aware of it, and put it down. Boom! I no longer pick this thing up. Fasting is a highly useful process when conducted properly and for the right reason. Biochemical changes that occur during a fast return to normal afterwards. Fasting is neither a cure nor a remedy. So fasting ain't even a cure or a remedy. It is one ingredient of a healthful and healing lifestyle. And if long-term positive effects are to result, fasting must be used in combination with all the requirements for health. That was Dr. Cridlin back in 1986. This is by Ralph Waldo Emerson back in 1850. He said, to laugh often and much, to win the respect of intelligent people and the affection of children, to earn the appreciation of honest critics, and endure the betrayal of false friends, to appreciate beauty, to find the best in others, to leave the world a little better place than we found it, whether by a healthy child, a garden patch, or a redeemed social condition. To know even one life breathes easier because you live, this is to have succeeded. Man, that's a lot he said in there. And how many of us can say that because of your life that you're living, the world is going to be left in a better place? Man, that's some big shoes, big pants to wear. If you seek robust health, stop rushing it, stop anxiety, stop tension, eliminate fear, eliminate worry and anger. They are worth it. Revert wholly, they aren't worth it. Revert wholly and fully to nature's principles and seek your health solely with its armamentarium: rest, fasting, fresh air, exercise, pure water, sunshine, and proper food, as well as adequate emotional poise. Notice we keep saying the same stuff over. Our education don't change. Whereas medication, they change weekly, they change monthly, they change yearly. And once they do damage you, they come out with some type of, class action lawsuit, paying everybody back who they done damaged. Look how they did with this hernia thing. Look how they doing with all these other drugs they got out here. If we expect the time will come If we expect the time will come when sickness and early death will be uncommon, we must have a view some means by which this end is to be brought about. For now there is not a neighborhood, and scarcely a family, which has not its invalid, or a hearth without its empty chair. The first thing to be done is to teach the people that their life and health are put in their own keeping, and that sickness never comes without a cause, but is always the consequence of violation of the laws which regulate the human constitution. Now, this is Dr. Harriet Austin, 1866. If we expect to succeed, we must develop an energy consciousness and learn to conserve energy. Monitor your vitality level and learn to identify attitudes and activities that dissipate it, that lowers it. There are countless ways to dissipate energy. Engaging in arguments and emotional outbursts, worrying, overeating, overindulging in work and or in play, excessive television viewing, excessive TikTok, excessive Facebook, excessive Instagram. It doesn't say that. I added that there. Facebook and Instagram wasn't there when Dr. Ralph Sink said this. This was actually in 1985, though. I think we were still on the Commodore 64. All we had was that, that tennis thing. Pew, pew. The tennis ball would go over and come back over to this other side. And that was the only game we had on that thing. All right. I'll read a couple more, and then we're going to go into it. A common self deluding pitfall is the habit of procrastination. I'll start changing my food program when the weather changes. I'll start exercising when I have more time. Of course, these are cop outs. If you keep putting it off, you can convince yourself that you really intend to do better tomorrow and tomorrow and tomorrow. But if you put it off long enough, the years will go by and you may never come face to face with yourself. To overcome procrastination, begin to do what you know you ought to do right now. Make the attempt, keep trying. Then and only then will you find an inspiration and strength you never realized you possessed. Now, this was Hannah Allen in 1985. Paul Bragg in 1950 says, life is like a gun. Take your aim ever so carefully. They say it can be aimed in only one direction at a time. So take your aim ever so carefully in the direction of health. Hygiene begins in the mind. Hygiene begins in the mind with understanding. It is in the mind that the decisions are made. So we have to get away from the gut and get up to the head. This was Dr. Alec Burton in 1980. So he's telling us to get out of thinking with our stomachs and start thinking with our actual mind. All right. Many persons bring disease upon themselves by their self-indulgence. They have not lived in accordance with natural law. Others have disregarded the laws of health in their habits of eating and drinking, dressing or working. Often some form of vice is the cause of feebleness of mind or body. Should these persons gain the blessings of health, many of them would continue to pursue the same course of heedless transgression of God's natural and spiritual laws, reasoning that if God heals them in answer to a prayer, they are at liberty to continue their unhealthy practices and to indulge perverted appetites without restraint. If God were to work a miracle in restoring these persons to health, he would simply be encouraging their unhealthy living habits. That was Ellen White in 1900. A lot of y'all know Ellen White of the Seventh-day Adventist. But here it is. She said something very, very, made me think there for a second. If I remember in the scripture it was talking about how, Satan came to Jesus after he came from out of fasting, and it was saying that he told him to do all this manner of stuff, turn bread into, turn some rocks into bread, throw himself off of a mountain and all type of stuff. And he said, man can't live by bread alone. You can't tempt the Lord your God. And a lot of people don't understand that, that in interpretation from that, thou should not tempt the Lord your God. Here it is, he was telling Jesus to do something, even though he knew that God was going to protect him and not let nothing happen to him. But why test him? Why try him? You're sitting there, God telling you how to eat. He done put in place what you should be eating. He only eating fruits and vegetables, wanting you to breathe fresh air and get sunlight and do all the natural things that keep you obedient and strong and healthy. But when you saying, I don't want to do that stuff, I don't want to breathe fresh air, I don't want to eat right food, I don't want to get sunlight, I don't want to exercise. But Lord, please heal me. Keep my body strong. Keep me healthy. Keep me, get rid of this disease that I got. But I ain't gonna eat right. I ain't gonna drink clean water. I want to still drink toxic stuff. I still want to eat bad and eat my oxtails and my turkey wings, and I need to have my fish fries. And I gotta have my crabs on Friday. I'm not willing to give that up. I don't want to sleep and rest. I need to be up all night watching television and doing excesses and whatever my habits are. I got to work. My job. You pay more money at night. So, you know, I don't keep no cheerfulness. I have no poise. I love being around toxic things. I love drama. I allow my jealousy to just take control of me. I worry so much that it's a shame, you know. But God, I need for you to keep my body healed. Yeah. So really, what we need to do is we need to take the step and putting forth momentum and start doing the things that will keep our body healed. God already put it there for us. It's for you to use your free will choice. He said he laid two ways before you, life and death. Both of the paths are in front of you, life or death. You got a free will choice to choose. It's preferably that you choose life and not death. But since now we've been choosing death, look at it. Look how many restaurants and stores that are open around here now. All that is, to create sickness in us. We have these three organs. These three organs, such as the lungs, we have the kidneys, and we have the colon. Those organs, the blood goes to those organs and are filtered. Goes to the colon pull out solid material, goes to the kidneys, and it pull out uric crystals and other crystals and formations of salts and stuff like that. Goes to the lungs, pull out carbonic gases and other gases that are putrefying and toxic inside the blood. So the blood goes to these organs, and those organs filter out waste from the blood. And the lung breathe it out, the kidneys urinate it out, and the colon have a bowel movement. So this is the way that the blood remains pure, through constant filtration from these three organs. When those three organs are not working properly because they've been abused, or they've been overused, or they, just not functioning because of lack of energy, because you're wasting energy in other areas of your life. So you don't have no energy to have a movement. You're wondering why you're constipated. You're wondering why you're not having good urine flow. You're wondering why you're having difficulty breathing and all this type of stuff. It's because you don't have the energy, you have damage going on, or you overuse those organs and tissue. And so your blood becomes toxic because there's no filtration anymore. If the blood is going to the kidneys and it's not doing anything because it's not turned on, it's not working, it's not going to filter anything. If it's going to the colon and the colon is hard, it's abused, it's fatigued, it's not going to pull anything out of the blood. If it goes to the lungs, same thing is going to happen. Nothing's going to get pulled out. So the blood will remain poisonous and toxic. And as the toxins accumulate in the blood, the whole body become a big toxicosis. In other words, it becomes a toxic internal environment, which is going to irritate and start producing sickness and disease in your body. Your body will form routes, elimination routes, in which to get rid of it in the form of symptoms of disease or acute diseases, sneezing, coughing, and other so-called cold-like or flu-like symptoms. But what we do, we take medicine, we take herbs, we go take these different serum poisoning because the doctor tells me he had to take antibiotics and all this type of stuff to stop even those abnormal routes that the body used to free this excess of toxin. So the toxins remain inside of us and eventually destroy and irritate all our cells and tissues to death, and we suffer and we die a premature death just because we didn't allow our body to filter properly. And we didn't keep those three main filters clean and all times ready. Change your filters by giving them rest and eating properly and getting you some rest. So best of health and have a great week this week. I love y'all, and I always enjoy talking to you. Can't wait till next week where we can have another great show. So I will talk to y'all later, man, and I love y'all so much. Best of health and happiness.
I like that.